Welcome to the Solemn Vanguard channel. Today we have another State of Cardfight Vanguard video. I do this once every few months where I just go over my thoughts of how the game is doing in many areas. Whether it is the formats, how they play, the market, tournaments, the anime, anything really. This way, when I say something, whether it's online on a Facebook thread or on Twitter or in another video, you know where I'm coming from. I might make a little joke and then someone might think, hey, how dare you say that? When in actuality, it was just a joke. So by having this type of video, you know my current thoughts on the game. And that way you also know, like, hey, if you've been gone for a few months and you want to know how Vanguard is doing, now you know. Or at least from my perspective. With that being said, if you still need any Vanguard cards, you can go to 50cards.shop and use the code Solemn for a discount. And let's get into the video. So first, let's start with Standard. Overdress, the new format, or at least new from, when was it? Was it April? I don't remember. But it was earlier this year we got the new format, a new type of format split, whatever you want to call it. And obviously, when a card game is new or a format is new, it's always going to be a bit slow, a bit linear. Some would even say a bit dull, because you gotta learn how things go, right? You need to get new players in, you need to get used to new rulings and so forth. And so set one, was fine because it was new. Okay, you had fun, it was new, but it was still pretty linear. And if you had been playing V already, or you had been playing Premium already, you're like, well, what is this? I'm used to 20,000 little things in Premium, I'm used to 10 little things in V maybe, but you're used to a bit more already. So in set 1, you're like, fine, I get it. Then set 2 came around, Lyrical Monasterio, the Festival Collection, and you felt like, this kind of needs more, It's starting to warm up a bit, but we're still very early. Again, to me, V format took ages to come into its own. Like, to me, I couldn't bear to play it until like Phantasmal Steed Restoration, which I think was a year and a half or something like that. I don't know, I don't remember. But it was a long time. I'm giving this one time. But now we're getting set 3, and set 3 has been pretty fun. Of course, it's still simpler. It's still simpler than Premium for sure. But there's starting to be a few cool little things you can explore. However, then we get into set 4. And to me, set 4 is where things really are starting to shape up. Because in Japan just now, we had these major events coming back. We had really interesting, diverse results. Also had everything selling out even. Like, there's really cool grade 4s of all the bosses. I guess it hyped people up because everything was sold out instantly. They're now doing a wave 2 reprint of this set. There's multiple builds of many of these decks, and so it's just hype. Of course, some ratios in set 4 are actually worse than before, so they're harder to pull. So that, of course, will also impact prices. But overall, there's definitely an increase of demand that we hadn't seen in Overdress before. Set 4 to me, I don't know, I'm just hyped. Maybe I'm overhyping it, I don't know, but I'm hyped for set 4, and it seems the rest of the market agrees. Instant selling out, really cool major tournament results. And this is also trickling over into English, I feel, with set 3. 3 is solid, I'm having fun, which is, that's something. Me having fun outside of Premium? What's going on? But so, jokes aside, set 3 has been pretty fun. And I think like the set 4 hype is making people aware of set 3 even more. And beyond that, we also have BRO coming up in the set 3 format. So overall, again, Standard, you gotta give it some time if you want the complexity of other formats. That's just normal. But set 4 is looking really, really cool. Then, Premium. Premium has been incredible. Amazing. Best format ever, ever, ever. Like, I haven't had this much fun in a format since ever. I'm a G stan. I loved G format, many, many moments. Then we had early Premium where I played Baskirk in London BCS and got top 8 with that. I loved that format as well. Then we had NLK that was kind of less with Ezel and so forth. Not the biggest fan. Then we had the Premium Collection 2019 format. That was really fun to solve. We had BSF Cardiff and so forth. Last year we had kind of an odd format with the Zazan stuff, sure. But then now, current Premium, incredible. We had that massive ban list that nuked like 10 decks off the face of the earth, and it's just been incredible. I mean, this is also reflected in a bunch of things, like in terms of viewership, in terms of the online tournament attendance, in terms of polls on Facebook, people looking stuff up, trying to build their decks. I also see the numbers on the deck depository, so like if you want to get into Premium, link is in the description, you can actually go and copy a deck list for basically every deck out there. And the amount of clicks that article gets is insane. So yeah, there's a lot of Premium hype, and that's because of the great ban list. Like, the format is wide open. There's so many really strong decks that can all compete. Now, could it be better? Sure. In my opinion, they should still ban over triggers. And again, this is not because it's a problem in premium, it's a problem everywhere. In standard, they should, in my opinion, also be gone. But I understand that they won't be banned in standard because it's the mechanic in standard. But at least then get rid of it in premium, so premium can be the peak of competitive play, and then standard will sadly be more casual forever. As long as over triggers exist, standard will be more casual than any other format. And don't you dare then get into, see, this is why V is more competitive. We'll get to that. But so yeah, premium is incredible, but they should probably ban over triggers. And if you then wanted to get into like what other things to hit in the format, I could argue that you should ban Nightmare Doll Ginny. That would optimize the format in my opinion. But overall, the format is great. Again, also go to like YouTube videos, go to like the meta analysis. The difference between premium views and other formats is like staggering. Next, V Premium. Now V needs a refresher. I was really hyped for the previous clan collection because we had been in the same meta for months upon months upon months. Basically, at that point, we were 8 or 10 months into the exact same format of Gavrail, Prism, Luard, Gavrail, Prism, Luard. And then the clan collection drops and everything is too weak. Sure, there were a few cards, but overall everything was way too weak. And while I'm not trying to say, you know, power creep everything into oblivion, it is important to note that when everything in a set is too weak, nothing changes about the format. Why would I stop playing Prism when Prism curb stomps everything in Clan Collection? Now, Clan Collection did introduce Heal Guardians, and that was a really good change in my opinion. I love those. That's probably one of the best mechanics Bushiroad has introduced in years. Incredible mechanic. We can also use it in Premium, has been amazing in both formats. But in terms of power level in V Premium, that Clan Collection was in my opinion too weak. Because now we are like a year, it'll be maybe a year and a half of the same format over and over and over and over. And that's just way too mind-numbing. We also noticed that in, you know, the Twitch chat, people just going, ugh, get rid of this prism mirror, please. It really needs a refresher. We also see this in viewership, like it's not doing that great. Overall, the V clan collections did more in Premium than they did in V. And that's saying a lot. People are constantly saying, oh, this broken stride, this and that. But like, some of these bosses did more with their older cards than they did in V. That says a lot. But again, Heal Guardians, amazing change. Now, my one concern right now is that we've had, I think, 4 bosses of the new clan collections revealed so far. And again, I don't want to assume that everything will stay the same. Again, we have like 22 more bosses to go, or 20 more bosses to go. But 4 is still a pretty decent number. And so far, all of them are weak as well. Like, Himiko was cool. I'm enjoying Himiko. And these bosses aren't bad cards per se. But when you compare their power level to Prism, Gavrail, and Luard, I'm like, why would I play these? Why would I ever play any of these bosses over these other insane decks? And sure, we had like the Mega Colony Brilliant Blister. That grade 1 is insane. But once again, that's the same thing we had in Clan Collection. We had like some good grade 1s, but then all the bosses were too weak, and so we were still stuck with the same decks. And I'm starting to fear from these 4 Clan Collection reveals, and again, maybe the other ones are totally different, so I don't want to like make statements that are permanent, because we don't know that much yet. But from these 4 so far, I'm like, ugh, are they gonna release another weak Clan Collection? That would mean we have 2 years of the same meta in V. I'm not doing that. When we have a format that only gets support once every 6 months, it should at least change in those 6 months. Because remember, in Premium, everything is changing constantly. The V clan collections have impact. The D cards have impact. More and more now that they're getting stronger. We're getting a Premium collection next year. That will have impact. So that format is still constantly changing. But if V is 2 years of the same, and in our 6 monthly sets, it's also more of the same, I don't think that's healthy. I think that's gonna get more and more dull exponentially. So that should definitely be fixed, in my opinion. I think if this coming clan collection isn't strong enough, they should probably start deleting most VR bosses, except for the ones that work with their reversers or something, I don't know. But like, even if you nuke Prism, Gavrail, and Luard, and Spectral Duke, won't you just go back to like the previous ones, or will the clan collection bosses then be strong enough? I don't know. I don't know how to fix it. I just think that we need a major shakeup in this format. I don't know what's gonna do it. Again, we'll see what this clan collection brings, but it needs a major refresher. Maybe a nuke style ban list like we had in Premium. That really shook things up in Premium and made it the best format Vanguard has ever had, in my opinion. So maybe V can have something like this as well. I don't know, we'll see, but I'm excited to see what they do with it. Next, we go into the market. You know, how are cards doing? Are collections holding up? Are things crashing? Are they going up? We'll see. Overall, Overdress is very, very, very cheap. Now, for players, this is great. You know, if you want to start playing an Overdress deck, it's very easy. It's the cheapest card game there is, almost. However, as a vendor, this fucking sucks, and so you have less incentive. This also shows that in Set 2, Festival Collection, Lyrical Monasterio, the hype for OD wasn't that high anymore. However, Set 3, and especially Set 4, we're starting to see that hype ramp up again. So it's always like this give and take. When prices are high, that means a lot of people are wanting them. It means vendors are incentivized to keep working and, you know, keeping the game alive, basically. But when prices are low, your decks are affordable. So you need a little bit of both. You need to be somewhere in the middle. And I think the pendulum was swinging too much to one side the past few months, but I think with Set 4, we're going back to where it has to be. So I would say that if you still need to start playing any deck, like if there's still something you want to play, it's probably a good time to start picking up pieces. Because in my opinion, with Set 4 hype coming, and especially if we get Springfest back, but we'll get into that later, it's probably good to have the pieces you want for the deck you want to play. Like right now, certain staples might be $2 and you're like, oh, I'll wait. Maybe it's not a wise choice to wait. Also, link is in the description for a TCG player if you need singles, or 50 cards if you need splits. Now, as for Premium, Premium is more affordable than ever because of the Revival selection. Like, this was a massive reprint set that basically gave you a bunch of staples. Especially for Kagero, Granblue, and Luard, you basically got all of the stuff that used to be expensive and that you would need to throw into a V deck to start playing Premium just like that. But most clans were actually like that. Most clans got really, really good reprints in that set. And so that also helped with the Premium hype. You know, we had that Revival selection together with a ban list, making Premium just super easy to get into, while also being really healthy as a format. So that really, really helped. However, because of that Premium hype, certain cards that weren't reprinted are now going up. So some cards now, you know, certain staples are now $20, like certain Strong Strides from Premium Collection 2019 and so forth. And that's not necessarily the end of the world. Like, we're still a cheaper game than Yu-Gi-Oh!, than MTG, than most Pokemon formats, but not all of them. You know, sometimes Pokemon drops like this certain box that has all the reprints, and then Pokemon is cheaper, but then when they don't, there's a staple that's a lot of money, so it's a bit of an ebb and flow there, but overall, we're still a pretty affordable card game, even for Premium. So it's not the end of the world, but it's still, again, something to be mindful of. The format is easier to enter into, and the format is cheaper than it was before, but certain cards are starting to creep up, so certain decks are starting to get a bit more expensive again. V Premium is overall affordable as well. Again, all these clan collections are often reprinting these triple rares and lower, so you have access to a lot of staples, and that's really good. Usually, getting a V Premium deck is easy. However, and I think most people who are really into this stuff already know, there is one problem. VRs will not be reprinted until 2023. This is to protect the shelf life of boxes. Bushiroad basically doesn't want to fuck over their vendors and the stores that, you know, support them. And so they're making it so the VRs won't be reprinted, and this means old boxes that stores still have won't necessarily plummet in price. This is good from a company towards their store's perspective. This is actually good. If they were to suddenly reprint all the VRs, you could never, ever, ever sell any of these boxes, and so you would just stab the stores that have been supporting you for years in the back, so I get it. But this also makes certain VRs more expensive and expensive and expensive. And so while in V you can buy 90% of your deck just like that for a couple dollars, and that's great, then your VR is suddenly like $40, so now you need 160 extra just for those 4 cards. And so again, it's not the end of the world. We're still a relatively affordable card game, but it's again something to be mindful of. And this might get worse and worse if certain of these reverses are actually strong and need to work with their old versions. We saw Himiko already going up. We saw other cards. I'm not instantly thinking of them, but we saw them going up. Nitros is going up amazingly. And so again, if you know, damn, it will be another year at least before we get these cards, they might go up even more. So I don't know what the actual solution is, because again, if you just reprint them now, you're not only breaking your promise to stores, but you're also fucking over stores. However, I do have to say, if you are in Europe, you might want to hit up your local game store and ask them for certain sets that include these VRs and see if they can get them from their distributor cheaper. Because I know that certain companies still have a lot of stock that they couldn't sell at the time. And so currently they might be for sale for much, much less. So TLDR there, standard, very cheap, gonna be slightly more expensive in the future. Not the end of the world, but keep it in mind. Premium, cheaper than before, but certain staples are starting to go up, so keep that in mind. But most clans are still relatively easy to get into, but some are really starting to creep up. V Premium, overall affordable, but the VRs are starting to get really expensive as well. Now then, the anime. I'ma be honest, I haven't watched it. Different Fight has been stabbing me every night, going, watch it! Watch it! Why aren't you watching it, damn it? And I still need to. I haven't gotten to it yet. I've been super busy with Solemn tones, I've been busy playtesting, I've been busy with everything except for watching the anime. And I really should, because apparently, like, it started off pretty solid with the first episode, then people were really mad that season 1 wasn't doing well, and then later on it got really good, and now season 2 is apparently huge hype. Apparently it's amazing, apparently it's the best Vanguard anime has been in years, so I should watch it. Different Fight. If you try a little harder, maybe I will. Yeah, I'll get to it eventually. It's just that finding the time, man. Anyway, apparently it's huge. I can only give you the opinions of others. Next, tournaments. BRO, Bushiroad Rumble Online, has been amazing. Seriously, like, all of these online events are really interesting because instead of having a regionals with 200 players from a given region, and maybe there's like 2 or 3 superstar players, you know, the kind of players that top constantly, and then people know, like, damn, I'm playing against X, oh no, X, what is he bringing, what is he doing? Like, you know, you'll have a couple of those, but overall you won't necessarily get to play against them, you won't necessarily get to see them play against each other, because again, in a region you only have so many of these really scary players. In these online events, it's so condensed, and everyone from around the world is playing, and so you're forcing them into one event. It's really hype. You're really seeing some of the highest quality Vanguard, in my opinion, that you'll ever see. You basically have a bunch of Worlds competitors and then a few non-Worlds competitors, and those just all duking it out. It's incredible. We actually spoke about this in WC. I want to say that BRO and Springfest Online have been almost the hardest events to top in, because you have such an amount of high quality players all forced into one event. Also, the stream quality has been insane, like BRO streams just mwah. I haven't actually seen any other card game have streams this amazing. Of course, you know, if you have an actual online client like Hearthstone, sure, your stream will be really nice. Magic, if they have a complete arena, sure, it'll be really nice. But in terms of purely online, pure digital stuff with physical cards, this was really nice, really mwah, beautiful. I wish they would be able to do this type of stuff for the real life events as well. I don't know how realistic that is. They would have to get a camera crew there, or, you know, someone who's at least responsible for that. They would then need to find casters for all those weekends. I'm sure it's impossible to do, but I would still like to see some implementations that kind of look like this towards all the events to really give those the attention they deserve as well. Next up, we might actually get real live events back, and that is even more hype. You know, as much as I just praised BRO and Springfest Online, card games are still about competing in real life with your cards, holding them, looking at the beautiful pictures, playing against your opponent, getting to do the mental mind games, having that fun major event environment. That's still what card games are about. And so while online events have been decent, holding us over, sure, I still want those real life events back. And so we had the Springfest thing coming back, they announced, but we'll see how that works out. You know, Europe seems to be going back into lockdown, so we'll see, but I am hyped for that. I hope it just works out. I hope we get some real life stuff back, especially if it's Team League. Team League is always super fun. It's kind of like a soft best of 3, like if your team is really strong, you get less fucked over by RNG. In the end, real life major events are the lifeblood of any trading card game. Sure, locals are fun and so forth, but the major events is what, you know, drives the most competitive people to really go hard. And so while you can't have one without the other, I really think they are important to have. With that being said, I still do not know how they will fix the 3 format thing. We've kind of forgotten about this conversation because we've had online events, and so you could have all 3 formats, no problem, just different weekends. How are you gonna do this time? Like, people aren't gonna fly out twice just to play every format to, you know, in a given country. So they'll force either people to choose one of the 2 events on the weekend in one of the days. You know, maybe you have Sunday Overdress and then Saturday choose between V and Premium, which I think is an awful idea. Or they'll do even worse and go like, oh, this country doesn't get this format, this country doesn't get this format. That also sucks. I don't know what the actual solution is. I said when Overdress was announced that there is no solution, and I stand by that. I do not think there is a solution for this problem. If they find one, cool, blow my mind. I'm super hyped to see what they'll do there. I don't know what the solution is. Personally, I think Standard and V should be on the same day because they are the most alike. Like, Premium is clearly super its own thing, while Standard and V are just different flavors of the same thing in my opinion. But I'm sure other people, you know, will disagree and will say, oh, I want specifically Standard and V and so forth. I don't know what the solution is. I don't know what they'll do. But regardless of that, I am super hyped to see Springfest return and see just major events in general return. Then after that, I'm looking forward to actual BCSs returning so we can finally try to qualify for Worlds again and get an actual Worlds again. Overall, lots of hype. Oh, also Premium Collection. Damn, I mentioned it at one point, but I want Premium Collection 2022 to be shown very, very soon. Like, I want some new strides, maybe some G Guardians. Set 4 is hype. Premium is great. V needs a bit of a refresher, but it's probably coming in spring. I assume we're getting a fat ban list. Overall, Vanguard is in an incredible state, but we really need those real life events to come back because those are the lifeblood of any trading card game. Hope you found this interesting. Like, subscribe, and I will see you soon. Ciao.